Bringing it back around this weekend, on the injury front from a Bournemouth perspective, I had a quick check. It doesn't look too bad. I think Tyler Adams is an ongoing problem. Dango Utara as well. Outside of that, I think it's a pretty clean bill of health, it looks like, down there.
Yeah, they look pretty good in that regards. The treatment room is not bulging at the moment. Most of the key players are all available and ready for selection. So in that respect, it's a good thing. I think Bournemouth's starting 11 on paper looks really strong. I think the team and the business they did over the course of the summer, they've really added to every position, the sort of 4 or 5 positions they recruited in. It feels like there's genuine upgrades there and genuine competition. So I think they're in a good spot ahead of this game at Anfield, although historically they've done well at the Vitality. Obviously, like you mentioned, the 1-0 from a couple of seasons ago. I don't want to remind you, but the 4-3 from 2016 was another one of those incredible moments where they kind of got to the Premier League and then not just got there, but, caused a few problems for the established sides. But Anfield's been a very slightly different, more tricky place to go. I think maybe just the point in the 2-2. But yeah, this is one of those games, and this style of football under Andoni could cause problems. And it'd be interesting to see how Liverpool respond off the back of the Nottingham Forest defeat.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about. I'll ask you in a moment about the approach and how Areola does come at this one, because I think the blueprint has been left behind by Nuno Espirito Santo will be clear for all to see. And I do wonder whether more managers will adopt that, or they'll just come and say, no, I have a certain way of playing, that's what I'm going to stick with. Before I do, I basically asked the question there, but before I ask the question properly, you mentioned key players and sort of the transfer business done over the summer as well. I wanted to touch on Dominic Solanke, another Liverpool link, his replacement really in Evan Nielsen. Obviously missed the penalty. Antoine Semenyo's made a brilliant start this season as well. Who should we be keeping an eye on in terms of the danger men, really?
So, yeah, I think, do you know what? Across the pitch, Bournemouth have a lot of strong players that could cause Liverpool problems. Evan Nielsen is a £14 million signing, a Brazil international, someone that is a real physical striker and has a proven track record for scoring goals in Portugal over multiple seasons. So whilst he missed the penalty against Chelsea and he hasn't scored yet for Bournemouth, you know that a striker generally will, at some stage, particularly at that price, will just explode. And suddenly he'll find the back of the net and get goals, and you'll be like, wow, he's off and running. At the minute, he's got that little bit of pressure, get that first goal in the Premier League and get going. So he's definitely a player to keep an eye on. Anton Semenyo is probably one of the most outstanding buys the club's had over the last few years and has probably become the main man. Now, what's fascinating about Anton is when they bought him from Bristol City for around 10, 11 million, they brought him actually as a number 9, as a second striker to Dominic Solanke. And this is something that Andoni Iraola does a lot, is he moves players from one position to another. And he moved Anton from being essentially an out-and-out 9 to a wide forward, someone that would play on the right side of a 3. So suddenly, instead of playing with his back to goal, he's driving at the fullback, he's getting on the ball. And because he's such a powerful, graceful player and he's got such a presence, when he drives at you with the ball at his feet, he causes immense problems because he's so strong, he's so big. So he's definitely someone to watch for. I think the other players they've got, people like Justin Kluivert, Luis Sinisterra, Marcus Tavernier, and you can see the theme here, Ryan Christie. They're all players that have pace and energy and non-stop work rate. And that's the problem that sides will find against Bournemouth, is that there won't be an off switch. And as soon as a player gets tired, Andoni will sub him. And you see it a lot with the 2 wingers. He'll get to sort of 60 minutes, 65 minutes, and he'll be like, right, you 2 off, next 2 wingers on, fully charged, ready to go. So that's definitely something that's quite fascinating with this Bournemouth side to watch. Obviously, you've got Araujo, who came in from Barcelona, who potentially could play right back. He may stick with Max Aarons or Adam Smith, who's played the game so far this season. And at left back, you've got Milos Kerkez, who came in not this summer, but last summer, and has been watched by some of the bigger sides in the Premier League. I would say Liverpool probably keep an eye on him and his development. We know that Manchester United and Chelsea also looked at him. He's one of those players that's come in, done really well, and people are going, well, hang on a second, you look like you could have some more levels, so let's keep an eye on you. You're not ready for the big 6 straight away, but if you do a couple of really solid seasons at Bournemouth, then he could be one of those players that goes on. And obviously two solid centre-halves. Zabani's another player that big sides have been looking at. Senesi, the same. And obviously Kepa, the most expensive goalkeeper in the world, joined just before deadline day on loan from Chelsea. So he's another player that will want to prove that he is still more than capable of playing in the Premier League, because, there's a lot of people that say, well, it didn't quite work out at Chelsea, big price tag. You haven't had the big performances. Last season, you were at Real Madrid, where you won La Liga and the Champions League. But can you do it in the Premier League? And this is his opportunity to prove it. So, yeah, I think across the team, there are some really good, solid players there that potentially could cause a side like Liverpool problems.
No, I tend to agree with you as well. I was starting to panic as you were talking about all the attacking options. And
Sorry, I've oversold them.
No, well, they're all quality players in their own right. I mean, Sinisterra was linked, with all due respect to Bournemouth, by the way, but loads of clubs, you know what I mean? A wonderful footballer, he really is, very gifted, very dangerous. And they're the sort of players that do cause Liverpool problems. Literally last weekend, Callum Hudson-Odoi. So it's there, the evidence is there in that. And I wanted to touch on the goalkeeper situation. It's just come to me as you were speaking there, because obviously you mentioned the loan deal that saw Kepa arrive at the club. There was some murmurings, talk, and feel free to shut me down completely when I ask this question, by the way. But Mamardashvili, obviously we know now is a Liverpool player. I think you knew I was going to say that. Will be a Liverpool player next summer, spending this season at Valencia, rather. There was some talk that Bournemouth could be a stopping ground. Was there anything in that? Was that ever likely to come to fruition at all?
The short answer is, well, there isn't a short answer on this one. There's a long, genuine, honest answer. So he was a player that was on the radar for Bournemouth, top class goalkeeper, someone with huge potential, someone who they very highly valued. Hence why you've got one of the biggest clubs in the world in Liverpool that have signed him. They clearly see him as someone that has the ability to play at the very highest level. Would Bournemouth have signed Mamardashvili if they possibly could? The answer is yes, they would have done. However, when Liverpool showed their interest in the player, it's very understandable as to why he would choose Liverpool over Bournemouth. So therefore, I think when Liverpool showed their hand, that was like, well, actually, I'd much rather go to Liverpool than go to Bournemouth. Obviously, there are rules in place, despite what people say on social media, but despite what transfer experts tell you, Liverpool could never have bought the player and loaned him to a club in the same division in the same window. So that could never have happened. So any potential deal would have had to have been for Bournemouth and Valencia to do. Villarreal?
Yeah, Valencia. Yeah.
Valencia, sorry. It would have had to have been a direct deal with there, and Liverpool wouldn't have been a part of it and couldn't have been a part of it. And obviously the rules state that. However, Liverpool obviously actioned their agreement because they believe maybe the player potentially could have been snapped up by someone else. I think the other thing that, whether it, again, is public knowledge or not, is Mamardashvili's partner, I believe, is pregnant with twins. And there was an unlikely or unwillingness for him to go on loan to a club and then join Liverpool or somewhere else, because it would have been too much upheaval for the family. So actually what it made sense was, I'm going to go and join this incredible club in Liverpool and actually just stay where I am, be settled for my family, and then look forward to a new challenge in a year's time. But yeah, genuine interest from Bournemouth, but the rules meant it probably wouldn't happen. And of course, when Liverpool registered their interest, there was only one place he was going to go.